Well, wouldn't that have been nice if war had indeed been over? So, maybe one day. Look, that's not the way to start, Michael. It's good to be back, and it's good to have Abby with me now. Yes, in the other chair, Abby. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Abby Hollingsworth, who is, you've been here quite recently.
I have, yeah. In the other one, I think, in the other room.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Yeah, so, but that was, I'm probably played on a Thursday, and this is Friday. You get a whole different audience. Yeah. So, nice to have you back, and things, first of all, even though you have been here before, and you've spoken about the roof project, roof problem, because you're a roofer, and if anybody out there needs their roof redone, it might be worth just reminding people what the Ruth Project is.
Yeah. So I guess in a nutshell, the Ruth Project, we support parents in that perinatal stage of life, which is pregnancy and after, in between their appointments. And it's specific to parents who have mental distress, not just diagnosed with depression and anxiety, but the hope is we can work with them before it gets to that point. And then those who are struggling with depression and anxiety can go to adult mental health and the professional services and use those resources.
I love what you said there about between appointments, because obviously when you're just part of a system, the health system or whatever, there's this great big gap between when you're getting official help and just having to make do, somehow cope with life.
Yeah. What
is it that you specifically do during that period?
Well, it really depends on each family, because each mother you're working with parents who have anxiety. So some of them don't necessarily cope with sitting and having a coffee because they don't feel confident to have a conversation, so they might prefer going and having a walk for an hour a week. Then there's others that need a little bit of help processing some practical things in the home, like dinner meal plans or just a bit of a cleaning roster. We will help do some practical, but it's always in a way where it's empowering the parents to be able to do it themselves. So if we were to be removed for whatever reason, they will be okay.
That's right, you haven't left them in it.
Yeah.
So in order to do that, you must have a lot of people on tap, volunteers? Or
Not yet.
Because that's a lot to take on.
There's currently 7 of us doing various things. On our one-on-one team, there's Hella, who's the other co-founder, and Anne, who is our other support coordinator. So we've got those 2. And I have one family that I work with as well. And so we're capped at the moment until we can expand our pool of people resources. Then my plan next year is to build a volunteer pool, people who don't necessarily have the time to be coordinating the support, because Hella does mental well-being and a holistic approach of looking at the family. What can we holistically do in your home day to day to help all of you? And so sometimes that might be that Hella needs to call someone, hey, this mum could really do with someone else coming in once a week to hold baby while you have a shower or something like that. So having a volunteer pool that we can call on when it's needed will support the support coordinators.
It seems almost crucial, doesn't it? Because there's potentially so many occasions when your help is needed.
Yeah.
There's almost, when you say hold baby while I'm having a shower, there's almost a kind of, it's hardly timetableable, that stuff. It's almost like you need it's like dialing 111 or something, isn't it?
Kind of just when you can do it. I remember, so I was really ill with depression and anxiety, and I remember there was a day, because Michael that's my husband, Michael, he would go to work because he needed to go to work, and I just remember this one morning I couldn't get out of bed and I'm in tears and I had the 3 babies at home, and he messaged a friend of mine and said, Abby needs help. I don't know what she needs, but I've got to go to work. And she turned up, walked in, there I am in bed with Cocoa Pops because the middle son wanted Cocoa Pops for breakfast, and she just took control, ran the bath, said, right, all you can do today is get out and have a bath. And so that day I realised as I was having a bath, this is the first time this week that I've actually cleaned myself, because you just don't think about it.
It's almost like, I know there are chemical and reasons for things like postnatal depression, postpartum, but also to some degree it's like a symptom of the nuclear family, which is not the natural way perhaps of bringing up children.
Definitely. I think it's definitely an impact. I think what I've learnt through my own journey and then through the Ruth Project is that there are lots of different factors. It's not just the chemical imbalance, but it is whether you're a family that are isolated and don't have that village, or whether it's sleep deprivation and struggling to cope with sleep deprivation, or if there's work. It's just a whole pool of so many different things can contribute to why that family have mental distress that's going on. Was it things that happened before baby even came that weren't dealt with? I had a conversation with a local midwife yesterday, and she runs one of the antenatal programs, and we were having this exact same conversation, and she was saying in her program she likes to teach the parents how do you cope when in yourself internally as a person and your needs and as a couple before baby comes, so that when baby's here you've already got the tools and you've already had the conversations, so you're already prepared when baby's here. I've had that conversation and this is what we need to try and do, rather than trying to figure it out as you go, which was my experience.
Well, the trouble is that because every baby is different and every situation is different, there's a huge degree of ad-libbing in every situation, isn't there? But if somebody can provide you with some preparation, there are some things that we all share. And at least those things people can help you with.
I think that's the beauty of Village, because I think that's why I really love that. So Anne's retired, and I love that because she has all this experience from raising her own family and her work experience to reassure parents, because she's been there and done that. And I think that's the great thing about having a village. You've got people who've been there and done that can say, I mean, I don't know how many times I've rung mum. My eldest turned 7 this year, and that was an eye-opener, having a 7-year-old girl and all these things that came with that I just didn't expect. And mum's like, oh yeah, that comes with the 7-year-old, and this is what it will be like with the boys. And I was like, oh, okay, all right, it's not just our home. But that's the beauty of having a village and people with experience around you.
And grandparents, of course, have been through it. It's right there in the title. Although I often feel as a grandparent, you know, that sort of idea of grandfather, don't stress your grandfather, he's old and he's sore. That's quite a good thing that you put on deliberately so that you don't have to do the heavy lifting. Because, man, being a parent requires upper body strength for a start.
It does. I agree with that, because mum and dad are very involved. There's 3 of us siblings, and we've all had children at the same time, and there's 9 grandchildren that mum and dad separate themselves between. And you can see it when they've had the kids for a weekend, and on a Sunday night, how exhausted they look. And I said to mum the other day, or a few months ago when this happened, I was like, it's fine, mum, you've done your time. Like, if your role is to actually just enjoy them and read books and support us, but you don't have to do this all the time.
It's funny, we've got a bunch of friends, we're all roughly the same age, and there was a kind of grace period after you'd had your children, but your offspring were not yet producing their own. When you're at everything's reasonably easy now, and now they're all looking tired again because they're part of the family unit again.
Little grandkids, and they're full of energy. Kids and the boys are really full of energy.
And you want to give them everything you can, but you've got to look after yourself as well.
I wonder too, though, talking about grandparents, that mentality of not realising the physical age, because I see Dad with the boys, and man, they all get racked up, and Dad included, and he's in there mucking around with them, and then afterwards he'll say, oh, I'm not as young as I think I am. There's this willingness to want to be in amongst it all, but then the physical catches up.
Yep. Well, we're going to have, we've been separated from our grandson for a long while because of COVID, and we're finally going to go over there in February.
Nice.
And our daughter's doing a production, so she's going to need a lot of work. This is a theatrical production. So that's our job, is to go over there, and it's not about, oh, this is lovely, we're in Sydney. No, it's help with the child.
Yep.
Yeah. And they've got lovely people next door, an old Greek couple who are kind of the surrogate grandparents when we're not around. It's really nice to have that. It's just luck, to get the right people next door.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. We have a client that happened for her, where there was a couple of older ladies around her home that had just noticed her, and then they just took her under their wing and took her for walks, and I just thought that was amazing, because we didn't contribute to that at all. That was just some elderly ladies in the neighbourhood had been observant and chatted to each other over the fence and said, we're going to go help this young mum out.
Yeah. Look, I think what you're doing is great, and you've called it the Ruth Project.
Yeah.
Give us the guts on that.
Okay. So it's inspired from the biblical story of Ruth, and I was reading it not long before I was thinking about doing this, and I always enjoyed Ruth because of her just loving attitude she has. So for people who don't know the story, there's Naomi, the mother-in-law, Ruth and Orpah, and the husband and the 3 sons of Naomi all died, and they were an Israelite family who had moved to Moab, and these 2 girls were Moabites, and Naomi says to them, I'm going to go back to my land and my people, and I'm paraphrasing here, basically just to be a widow, lonely, and die.
I mean, those are not the actual words out of
They're
the Bible.
definitely not. I have a terrible memory for
remembering. You know what, I'm going to go back.
And she says to the girls, you can go back, be with your people, go marry, live a life. And Orpah did, and Ruth just said, no, where you go, I will go. Your people will be my people. Your land will be my land. And she goes with her, and then it all works out, and it's a lovely story. But that attitude that Ruth had was, it didn't matter that she wasn't an Israelite, that she was about to walk into a territory she knew nothing of. She just loved Naomi and didn't want her to be alone. And that was the heart that I had for my Wairarapa families, was where they go, we will go. It's not about telling our families what to do, but how do they want to recover? What is in their world that they would like to incorporate into their recovery, and go with them on that. And the amazing things we learn because of it, because we're open to how they want to recover from having children.
And yes, what you yourself have said of having postpartum depression yourself, I found, I thought, the reference to Ruth, I know there's a reference to Ruth in Ode to a Nightingale.
Right.
So I whipped it out. And I just read the first part because I think it relates to that kind of depression thing you're talking about. My heart aches, and a drowsy numbness pains my sense, as though of hemlock I had drunk, or emptied some dull opiate to the drains. A fairly extreme kind of depressive feeling evoked there. And later on in the poem, he says, perhaps the self-same song that found a path through the sad heart of Ruth, when, sick for home, she stood in tears amid the alien corn, the same that oft times hath charmed magic casements opening on the foam. So you are providing the music of the nightingale that charms the magic casements that would otherwise be like the start of the poem.
Yeah, that's a cool poem.
It's a lot longer than that. Well, it's been lovely having you.
Thank you.
And you know that when this is over, I'm going to twist your arm to do your own program. Because
do you know what's funny? Is when I came to the first interview, I thought, man, it would be cool if I had my own show for the Ruth Project. What would I talk about? And I was dreaming it. So then when you mentioned it to me, I thought, how funny is that?
Got to do it. Got to do it. Now, because I've got a few notices about what's happening in the Wairarapa to say after you've finished, if you've got somewhere to disappear to, I'll understand that. Mm-hmm. If you've got a few moments and you want to hang around and talk about a program, we can do that too.
I can do that, yep.
All right.
Cool.
Now, just to show how old school I am, I've got something, a record on the turntable, goes round and round like there's a needle on it and right. So this is my second to favourite 60s band, after the Beatles, of course. The Small Faces and Afterglow. Being a record, and because it's on pause, it'll probably go to start. But here they are, the Small Faces.
I know that I'm happy just to be with you. I know that you're the way I do. He knows that there's every way I need you. I know that you're dancing in the afterglow of your is all around me, everywhere. Love has come to touch my soul with someone who really cares. No one can deny us. People who once passed me by will turn their heads round. I'm happy just to be with you and loving you the way I do. There's everything I need to know, just resting in the afterglow of your light. Yes, you have always been here, feeling deep inside, a feeling that I could not see or touch or try to hide. My love is in and around you. Hey, I bless the day that I found you. So listen, baby, I'm happy just to be with you and loving you the way I do. There's everything I need to know, just resting in the afterglow of your light. I'm gonna keep it, baby. Love is like a voice in my head, keeps turning around the things that we I'm happy just to be with you and loving you the way I do. There's everything I need to know, just resting in the afterglow of your light. Oh, now I'm so
That's the Small Faces, Afterglow. Right, now it's been all about the guests this morning, so I'll just rip through a few things that you might find crucial. If you're living in Eketahuna, boil your water. Yep, there's heavy rain has stirred up the water supply, so you need to be careful of that. Usual markets on, Featherston Weekly Market on Saturday at 8 o'clock, the Wairarapa Farmers Market here at the Showgrounds on from 9. Aratoi, today is the day, when I say today, I'm talking about Friday, the New Zealand Sotheby's International Realty Wairarapa Art Review. The Wairarapa Art Review, that's right, is happening at Aratoi, and it opens today. So it's a selected exhibition open to all artists living in the Wairarapa. It's held every 2 years since 1999 and presented by the Friends of Aratoi. They got various awards. The selector is Marsha Page from Page Galleries in Wellington. The awards, there's the Rosewood Premier Award, the Rig Shockey Highly Commended Award, the Pete Nicolaisen Photographer and Framer Photography Award, Con Art Gallery and Studios Emerging Artist Award, Gwenda Saunders Exciting Use of Colour Award, the Hillview Property 3D Award, the Jane Hyder Portrait Award, Frank Minahan People's Choice Award, and all this these awards will be announced on the 13th of February. But meanwhile, starting today, you can go and check it out. The opening and awards announcements are on the 10th of December. That was a couple of days ago, wasn't it? What day is it today? I'm hopeless. I don't know what day it is, Never mind. I'm just looking at my phone at the moment. That'll tell me. That's today. So that's good, isn't it? It's opening today, and if you go there at 5:30, then the opening of the exhibition and the awards announcements will be happening then. Yes! As I told you last week, remember there's a newish exhibition on there, Distant Kinship, Verre Verwanten. Yep, it's to do with the Nederlands. Great Ann Lions Christmas Market. That's not on Aratoy. I'm just, segueing a bit abruptly there. That's on at McMaster Street in Greytown on Saturday from 10 till 2. It's the Great Ann Lions thing that they do it every year. Christmas. That's why they call it the Christmas Market. And the proceeds are going to go to the Wairarapa Youth Orchestra, which is a new thing, just been happening. I know the people who are doing that. That's Caitlin and Andrew. Yeah. Oh, here we go. The Wairarapa Heart Help Group is cancelled. Now, it's only relevant to the people who were going to go to it, so I don't even have to tell you where it was going to be, because and it's not happening. All right, I know that was a bit of a quick whip through, but I want to go and talk to Abby about her doing a program. What do you reckon? Yeah, I thought so. All right, well, it's been real, and sometimes it's been not so real, and that's me. See you next week.